Sheesh. Alright. See if I can get something going this morning. Alright, day 12, man. Day 12. Alright, I'm trying to get me a little breakfast going, but I'm going to get this off because it's on my chest. I woke up straight out of bed with it on my mind, right? So, I'm gonna get right into it. Let me see this right here, man. This jelly need to be wiped off for some reason. I'm gonna wet my rag. So, first thing first though, I been having well, I acknowledge that I don't have trust issues. I think that God has took me through necessary situations, right? In order for me to be aware of certain things that I may come in or encounter in life, you know, certain experiences, certain people, certain type of people. So God has given me like, He just already instilled in me the variety of personalities that I can come across in my lifetime, I think, and it allows me to become a little bit more aware of my terrain a little bit better. So what I really want to talk about today is something that it's a situation I had a long time ago. I want to just talk about the story or whatever. You see me rocking my tea this morning, right? I got some of that I don't even know how to pronounce this guy. And they got a little saying on it, said, garden is a delight to the eye and a solace for the soul. Tight. But I got that ginger and honey tea going on right now. And some other type of tea, man. I don't even got the name of it, but it's medicinal or whatever. Tight work. But I kind of like add my little extra, something to it. I ain't never been a coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee. That ain't my thing, man. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I'm gonna get into my experience, you know what I mean? While I eat me a little light breakfast or whatever. Let me wet my rag. Alright. Sheesh. Alright, so check. I got a situation. I'm gonna speak about a situation I had. All right, so I remember getting out of jail one time, and I wanted to change my life or whatever. And I knew that if I got out of jail this time, and I knew that if I got out of jail and went back home, I felt like I would probably end up getting in trouble again. You know what I'm saying? So I decided to move into a place that I wasn't too tough of knowing, because I knew like Savannah like the back of my hand. So it's like I knew I was bound to probably get into something. You know what I mean? So I decided to move. So I moved with my sister. My sister had just went to college. And I moved with my sister, slept on her couch. Well, during that time, my firstborn was born. My oldest son, he had just got born. And it was kind of wild because when I got out, I'm still trying to be a dad, but I was unstable, sleeping on the couch, my sister's couch or whatever. Well, it got to a point or a time where my sister ended up meeting this friend or whatever. I'm not going to disclose her name, but her friend was gifted. She was like clairvoyant or whatever. And she come back home like, Randall, I met a psychic. Such. I'm like, yeah. So she was telling me about this, that, and the other, and what type of child, the sex of the child, whether it was going to be a boy or a girl. You know what I mean? And it got to the point where, I kind of stood over my shoulder, you know what I mean? I ain't thinking nothing. I ain't really believing in no sightings and nothing like that. But I really wasn't aware of clairvoyance at the time. So that was another thing, you know what I mean? So I had this experience or whatever. To where one night, it's the first day I ever met the girl she was speaking of. The girl was, in a couple apartments down, where my sister was friends with a couple people at a couple apartments down. So I was looking for her one day or something like that. I was in the streets. So I get back, it was like that evening or something. But while I'm there, at the time, when I got out, I wanted to spend time with my oldest boy, so I got my oldest boy to come down with my child's mother. So my boy was still in diapers at the time. So at the time or whatever, I think I went down to the apartment, everybody was in the front room, deep, they were deep. And this girl was sitting on this couch, innocent looking girl, man. She didn't curse, nothing, or whatever. Man, that was like the first like spiritual beauty I ever seen in a woman. You know what I mean? She just, her innocence was just beautiful to me at the time. Okay, so when I walked in, I think it was daytime, I believe, but that afternoon, yeah, it was that afternoon. And my sister got tight with the girl or whatever. I had never met her until then. So when I come in, so it's like, such, what you see about my brother? She's like, oh my God, you guys are such whores. So in my mind, I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? And I remember she said something like, you love too hard, like that. When she said that, I didn't get defensive, but I'm like, who is this chick? And she ain't telling me something I don't know about myself, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think that like I was at a little counter. I walk out like, yeah, man, who this chick is, man. So I guess I get my child's mother's attention or whatever. We spend time together with my son in the front room. Well, I think my sister pulls back up with old girl in the car in the passenger seat. So when I go outside, sister was out there or whatever. I go outside, my baby mama comes out, and we all jump in the back seat. It was air conditioned at the time. The girl, my sister's friend, was in the passenger seat. This is when I got a whiff of the building, all right? Since my boy had been born, I was always getting on my baby mama about getting him circumcised. She was like, she was gonna get him circumcised or whatever, but she had never got my son circumcised. So at the time, my sister was like, oh, what you see about my nephew? What you see about my nephew? So when she had my son, she handed my son to her. My baby mama did. As soon as she see my son, she turns to my baby mama's like, wait a minute, is he circumcised? Like that. I look at my baby mama because I hadn't changed his diaper since I've been out. You know what I'm saying? So she like, yeah, I'm gonna get him circumcised. I'm looking at my baby mama like, wait a minute, you ain't got him circumcised yet. He like 2, you know what I'm saying? 2 years old now, going on 2, man. And so it shocked me. I'm like, dang, how she knew that? You know what I'm saying? And that was one encounter. I think it was that evening or something like that. Well, as I was going, you know what I mean? We went out about a day or something like that. I think a friend of mine had asked me to go to the club with him, and I was in the passenger seat in the back. And she asked, he's like, Time, man, get up with me. What's up, Time? He's always like, Time, like that. So he's like, bro, you gonna go out with me? Such. I'm like, man, I don't know. I got my baby mama with me. You know what I mean? And out of nowhere, I think my partner's phone went to ring. No, this time, that was that evening. They pulled back up, I guess, or something like that. And we all in the parking lot. Well, at the time, I'm sitting next to the girl, you know what I mean? My sister's friend in the back seat. I forgot who was in the passenger seat with my sister, but I'm in the back seat. So when I open the door, my partner pulled up. So when he asked me about going to the club, she just blurts out in the middle of our conversation and be like, you need to stop messing with that girl because she's trying to trap you or something like that. My partner like, who is this chick or whatever? And she was like, before he could say the name, she's like, start with a J. And before he could say the name, she said the name. And I'm like, whoa, I'm shocked, just as shocked as he is. You know what I mean? And then his phone started ringing. And she's like, you might not want to answer that because all she gonna do is yell at you. So my partner, out of curiosity, like, man, who this chick is, man? He answered the phone. At the time, it was those BlackBerry phones. We didn't have touchscreens then. And he put the phone on speaker. He like, hello? All you hear is a girl in the background. Everybody tore out the car running like, oh, snap. You know, we ain't never had that experience. You know, so she scared us like. So that was an experience or whatever, man, that I had, man. Meeting those type of people, and you just meeting like, and I had a deep relationship with God at the time. I used to have this like relationship with God to what God was like my imaginary friend sitting next to me. It was like everything I have going throughout my day, I talk with God, but I call God boss man. You know what I'm saying? And I used to always be like, boss man this, boss man that, you know? Then I remember, man, you know, at the time, meeting somebody like that, knowing as spiritual as I was, you know, my mind started accelerating into all different type of things, but I'm like, wow, you know, I never met a being that had that type of ability, man. So I looked at her like she was an angel or something, you know what I'm saying? So I never really disclosed that or whatever, but I mean, I just looked at her in a real highly divine sense, you know? And I had this experience or whatever where it was another encounter where she, we're all in that front room again at our partner's apartment or whatever, a couple goes down. So everybody in there deep that night, and she's pretty much like prophesying about what she sees about everyone, right? she gets to my child's mother and go to like giving her instructions about my son. And then I'm in the front room tripping like, man, why she's instructing her like the dad ain't sitting right here? So I'm tripping like, why she excluding me out of what to do with my son? At the time, my son was dealing with eczema. She was telling him how not to feed him fish and stuff like that. So, man, let me get into that, hold up. So then, all right, I remember she, I just got curious. And I was like, I pulled up on her while she was sitting on the couch and I'm like, hey, look, man. I'm like, look, I'm stressing too hard at it. And she's like, yeah, that's why I ain't gonna tell you. I'm like, my mind, back in my mind said nothing. I'm like, my mind like, tell me what? Well, you know me, my mind, it warped into all type of stuff. Like, well, it must be some bad news or something, you know what I'm saying? Then when I was in the streets, I'm like, man, is that right around the corner? Like, I thought I was, you know, my mind went to tripping, but I'm sitting on the steps outside of the front room that takes me upstairs. I'm sitting on the steps like, dang. So then I got to the point where I was like, man, I'm tripping. Like, I don't even want to know. Like, I go to walk out. When I go walk out, I heard her say, you too impatient. You ever had somebody like, feel like they was talking to you, but you never really, I'm like, everything behind me. So I'm like, when I turn around, I feel like she was talking to me. When I turn around, everybody looking at me. So I look at her, I'm like, man, you don't even know what the F you talking about, man. Like, I'm on some whole other, you know, I walk out the door, slam the door, like, boom. And they're like, what's wrong with him? So I go to the front room, man. I'm in the front room, and my mind just go tripping. Like, I go to thinking all type of stuff, man. I'm thinking like, dang, man, like, am I gonna die anytime soon? I went to thinking all type crazy. Now, you know, I thought she was an angel or something. So I'm like, God, was she sent here? Boss, man, was she sent here to take me home to you? Because I was so, my relationship with God was so deep, man. I was like, I just felt like this world wasn't for me. It's not for me. I just think I feel like I came before my time or after my two. I don't know. I just feel like this place is just not for me. I was like, God, like, is she here to take me home to you? You know what I'm saying? I was thinking all type of crazy stuff. So that morning, she never told me. I was crying in the dark. Like, that morning, I went to wake sis up that morning. I'm like, hey, I looked at the time. I knew sis had to be to class. So I'm like, hey, yo, sis, man, you got class, man, this morning? She's like, yeah, what time is it? I'm like 9. She's like, all right, like, you want me to drop y'all? She's like, yeah. So I go brush my teeth real quick. And as I brush my teeth, it dawned on me, like, that's her homegirl. I think she probably said something to sis about me. You know what I'm saying? Me out of curiosity, still wanting to know. I went and asked sis. So I'm like, hey, sis, man, sis said anything to you about me? She's like, no. I'm like, man, I'm tripping, man. I go to walk out the door. Right before I go walk out the door, she's like, yeah, oh, yeah, she did tell me. She did tell me something about you. Oh, she told me to tell you, no, you ain't finna die no time soon. She was like, no, she wasn't sent here for you, for me. And she was like, oh, she told me to watch how I treat you, because you're gonna be such and such one day, and you ain't gonna give me nothing. And the way everything hit me, it was so shocking, man. It was in my solar plexus, like my stomach went to turning over, like I went to get nauseous going down the steps. And I'm like, wow, I got lightheaded, like, wow, because my body, everything in my body wanted to be in denial about the information I had just received, like it wasn't real. But it was so shocking that my sister was relaying to me thoughts that I was having that night that I never told her so. So when she was like, no, I wasn't finna die no time soon, but what really blew my mind was because that weird thing of me asking God, like, God, was she sent here to take me home? You know what I'm saying? So, that shocked me, man. So, all right, so I go to drop sis off. And later on that day, I get a text message. I'm walking on campus or whatever to do my thing, you know what I'm saying? And I remember getting a text message saying, hey, did you find my ID? Such. I'm wondering, like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? This weird number. So I'm like, who is this? And it kind of already dawned on me before I got the text back. After I asked who was it, she said who she was or whatever. I'm like, wow. But in my mind, I'm thinking, like, what the hell? Like, why she asked me about a ID I don't even know nothing about? You know what I'm saying? But she obviously seen me find the ID, and which was true before I found it, plundering it. You know what I'm saying? And I found the ID or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, during this situation, I didn't find the ID. So I was like, nah, but when I found it, I'll be sure to get it to you or whatever. And I thought the conversation was over with. You know what I'm saying? I just went back going through what I was doing. She was like, I got a text back like, oh, I don't mind you knowing. So me out of curiosity, you know, I played the 50 like, I don't know what she talking about. You know, I just had got the information from my sister this morning. And she was like, and I was like, about what? And she was like, about you being such and such. So I'm shocked. I like dropped the phone, like, wow, she really did say this, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of shocked me, man. And you know, me being curious. Oh yeah, I remember she was like, oh, that night she was like, that's the reason why I ain't gonna tell you. I think you just like or love being curious for some reason. And then I was like, man, what? You know, but then she hit me back being sarcastic when I was like, how? What did you see? You know what I'm saying? And she was like, I don't know, stop being so damn curious, LOL, you know what I'm saying? So for some reason, I don't know what made me say this in the text message, but I texted back, well, okay then, thank you for everything. I guess we got a job to do. And I just went on with, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, after hearing that information, I just totally scratched out what was on my agenda. I need to go back and smoke on that. You know, at the time I was smoking weed, you know what I'm saying? Oh man. So while I'm like going back to the apartment, I walk in. As soon as I walk in, why I see her sitting on the couch by herself in the apartment. It was like she just magically appeared. You know what I'm saying? So my heart fell to my tail, like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's like, oh my God, you got such an amazing heart. Like, and she was telling me about all this stuff that God was gonna do for me and this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was young. I ain't gonna say I was gullible, you know what I mean? But it's just one of those experiences I couldn't really deny. I'm like, wow, you know what I'm saying? And a partner of mine pulled up and he's like, hey, Time, what up, bro? We gonna get up today, we about to such. So I'm like, all right, well, let me get dressed for real then. You know what I'm saying? So while I'm getting dressed and getting my stuff together, my partner sitting on the couch asking old girl, like, hey, yo, you know what you see about me? And she's like, oh, I ain't gonna lie, all I see is a lot of drugs, guns, and jail. Things get quiet. I'm like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? So I peel, we like, it's about time to go, bro. You know what I'm saying? She ain't bought none then. So we peeled, and man, you know, years on down the line, like after meeting old girl, you know, we got close. She became like family, you know what I'm saying? So me, you know, I always had this different type of heart towards her, you know what I'm saying? And I remember one day, I think she was trying to go out of town somewhere and she was short on money or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that, and she promised me she was gonna pay me back. I had some cash or whatever. She asked me, could she borrow? So I let her borrow the money, you know what I'm saying? And then like, I never really asked about the, well, she did, but I never really asked about the money. But I was always thinking like, I don't believe she would, you know, lie to me, you know what I'm saying? So when she was like, you know, I got this money, I got you, I'm gonna give it back. She says, well, years I'm going down the line, boom. She never paid me back. But I remember one time she blocked me or something like that, because I was going through a lot of emotional stuff, like turmoil, man. And I was always looking to her for answers, you know what I'm saying? And, hold on. So then out of nowhere, man, like, I don't know, it was kind of heartbreaking. I got locked up during this period. I was going through a lot, and I finally got in contact with her. And I was doing my music. Well, she had blocked me or something like that. I think she got married or something, you know, dude being locked up, hitting her, and she was married. I totally respected that, you know what I'm saying? But this scenario was that it was kind of like I was doing music, trying to get my music off the ground, and I needed some support. Like, and at the time I needed a manager, you know what I'm saying, that actually furnish my music, get it, you know, all this stuff done the right way, you know what I mean? So I hear her, and I was like, hey, I want you to be my manager one day. I want you to be my manager. Well, why did I get a text back out? Like, I don't think she meant to text me. She's like, yo, I'm gonna hit your sister or something like that. But she ended up texting me when she was supposed to be texting my sister. She's like, boy, how about this, you know what I'm saying? Want me to be his manager. And it showed all the emojis laughing, like, ha ha ha, like, and I'm like, wow, you know what I'm saying? That shocked me, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, like, who am I to you? You know, I remember I had to pour out a lot of, like, hurtful things, man, that I hadn't experienced in my life, man. You know, when I was just always an honest person, and it was just a lot of things that I had been going through, you know, as a child coming up to an adult. You know, she was just one of those people I felt like I could profess a lot of things to, you know what I'm saying? Not knowing, being young, naive, that she's still human, just like us. She's still learning, just like us. She's still coming to, you know, the knowledge thereof, just like us. Like, she's not all knowing, you know what I'm saying? I'm not knowing this though, you know what I'm saying? She's still human, bro, like us, but I look at her on a whole other, you know what I mean? So I didn't think she could, you know, I mean, she revealed something to me that I felt like God was trying to show me while I was incarcerated in this period. I mean, me understanding that she could lie to me, me understanding that she could actually, you know, deceive, or she could undergo, you know, misinterpretations too as well. You know, she could be subjected to a lot of things too, you know, just like us. You know what I'm saying? So me, I remember one time she was telling me some things that I didn't really believe was accurate information about what God was promising me for real. Something in my heart told me it wasn't true information. I don't know why. I just didn't cling to it because I did not believe that. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that I actually wanted anyway, like to be this. It's just that I guess she just spoke that and saying that was gonna happen. over my life. You know what I'm saying? It's not something I actually just was like, this is a desire or something. It's not something I was actually after, like it was a soul desire. It's like my relationship with God was my ultimate success for real. You know what I mean? And I guess that was something that wasn't known either to her. But it's kind of wild that, like, me understanding becoming a little bit more intuitive myself, meeting other clairvoyant individuals, being educated by these clairvoyant individuals, having more encounters with these clairvoyant people, made me more aware of, their standing in reality. They're, and I became aware of even my abilities as well, But that's another thing all in itself, man, because, when I had got to a point in my life where, I look at what you would call synchronicity different. You know what I'm saying? But there's things that I've realized about these clairvoyant people that some of these clairvoyant people aren't really aware of yet. You know what I'm saying? About themselves. And I only gained this information and knowledge due to my own experience. And it's like, this is something that I feel like, this is a point of revision that this is the reason why I'm making this video. Because this may help those who have that gift of clairvoyance and may help them better discern the difference thereof of when God speaks. You know what I'm saying? And why we're having those spiritual occurrences. You know what I mean? So, boom, I'm gonna get right into it. You know what I mean? So, like having all these experiences where I had the experience of witnessing her deceiving me in a sense, to having all these like traumatizing situations in love and relationships with like companions that I had in my life, you know what I mean, where I've been deceived, to where I learned the difference between trust and faith. People feel like you gotta have faith to have trust, and in order to have trust, you gotta have faith and such. But they're two different. They're not the same. And people misconstrued that. You know what I'm saying? and I realized that faith is just like left of the world. There's like different levels of faith. I can have more faith in this person that I do this person that I do this person. But when it comes down to trust is a degree of certainty. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that people kind of like mistake. And we don't understand that trust is God's throne. So this is the reason why God is a jealous God, because our certainty should be invested in, our certainty should be the throne of God. Our trust is where God dwells. Faith is left for the world. A person, I can love my mother, I can have all the faith in the world in my mother, but I would not ever trust her. You understand? Because she is still a dependent as well. You know what I'm saying by that? Like saying, although she may have all these intentions to secure me in my life, to have set out to execute or do something for me to get to point A to point B, right? But let's say she's still reliant upon one who can get her to point A to point B. And even though she may have all these intentions in the world, she still may not be able to execute and follow through with everything she intends. Meaning that, she is not trustworthy. You see what I'm saying? I mean, trusting is, she can only be to a degree of being trustworthy. You understand? But trust is God's throne. So I have all this extraordinary amount of faith in her than I would any other person in the world. Just like my wife. My wife is different. My wife is the point. She's like, she's not in the realm of trust, but she's right there, like right there. You know what I'm saying? Right up under that. You see what I'm saying? Then you have where faith goes, But she is like my intercessor. She intercedes for me. Where to God. She's like my altar to God. You see what I'm saying? That's where my wife resides. So yeah, I'm going to in an extraordinary amount of faith, surrender like all things to her, where I would make a covenant with God that I have given her my trustworthy, like she is trustworthy. I grant her trustworthy. You see what I'm saying? That's a wife's throne to me. You see what I'm saying? Then you have the extraordinary amount of faith that I would give like my parents and then my siblings and then, and so forth, their friends and stuff like that. But I remember God telling me that he's a jealous God because I had this fiance of mine before I got incarcerated. I made vows Before I even got married, I made vows to God because I was already a spiritual person. You know what I'm saying? And I always looked at like when we had sex, or if I had sex with someone and I became like, that was a way of me. I understood that we came to know each other. For some reason, I always felt like that was marriage to us. You know what I'm saying? To me. And not to get into all that, but I come to realize that God was teaching me some things about the difference between trust and faith. And I had made my ex-fiance so precious. Like I had really loved her beyond measure. You know what I'm saying? And man, God knows, like that was an experience, man. This is before I got incarcerated. But that was a great lesson for me, although I still didn't learn from the lesson. I had to learn when I got incarcerated and had some love situations, man. boy. And I never had been wrong the way I had been wrong being incarcerated, man. I have never had my heart broken the way I had it done in here, And that's just why there's a reason why I don't trust anything in this world. And it's not to say that it's a bad thing. It's just that, I take the authority over my own being because I know that I am accountable and responsible for me at the end of the day. And I still have a duty before God that I have to meet. And I will not surrender that to another to be able to accomplish or complete but me. It's my responsibility. And I had to understand that. And I'm glad that I still operate, in this type of conception, with this type of concept, because I have come across a lot of clairvoyant people that are very persuasive, can be to the point to where you can be very dependent upon the information that they're providing. And if you're not conscious or aware, if you don't have the actual spirit to discern, you can be misled. You see what I'm saying? So me, after learning so much, I started an investigation, my own investigation, concerning those that are clairvoyant. And I feel like there are some things that need to be addressed, even when it concerns the church too as well. And that gift of prophecy, it's not like people don't have the ability to prophesy. That gift is still evident to this day. It's just that, we have our times where we can misinterpret what God is trying to give us, or convey to us. And we may act irrationally and not know it. You understand? And this is where I'm trying my best to service those with this gift rightly. And God put something in my heart due to a situation that happened last night about someone that I'm kind of concerned about, So here's the actual message, all right? I've witnessed sometimes, we can get information and God can give us a vision. And we can see that vision, and it's not like a person that has the ability to prophesy is intentionally trying to mislead. Sometimes it's just a mistake because, we're human. We make mistakes. They're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Although God may give them accurate information, it may be a probability, but we may mistake it as an actual occurrence that is coming to pass. But it may just be a probability bestowed to us from God. And God may give us a vision based off of the mannerism of how we are conducting or approaching a situation. And God may give us a vision of the outcome because of how we're going about it. You see what I'm saying? And that may be a warning to us, but we may take the vision and we may be quick to go ahead and giving and professing that to the person that is, say like a person that is, the vision involves a person. The vision may involve a person. And we may visualize that person doing something, right? And we'll go ahead like just out of, obedience. We feel like we're being obedient by just going ahead and letting them know like, hey, I had this vision about you doing something. But we mistake that the vision was given to us for our own conviction to a sense, to where there may be some information that God is trying to give us concerning our own productivity and how that may cause that person that we're visualizing to be doing something due to our influence. And our influence caused that type of result. And God may be trying to warn us about that and giving us that foresight to let us know, like, hey, you know, your influence may cause this person to make this irrational decision. But we may not understand that. You know, we may misinterpret the vision and just feeling like we're just being obedient to just give the vision. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes it can be detrimental, you know, and sometimes it can be for the goodness of God's glory. And some people that are just trying to be obedient may end up being convicted as false prophets, man, because of their lack of discernment and just their, you know, process of growth of gaining the maturity of being able to discern what God has given. You know what I'm saying? And I'm making this video because God has put it on my heart, you know, because I trust God. I trust God enough to understand. I trust God. And yeah, there may be many different suggestions that I may come across in my life, in different influences. I may be impacted by so much in this world, but there's a line in, there's a place in which I dwell that me and God is in exchange that no one can breach. No influence can breach that. So when it's time for me to know the difference, I don't know until the occurrence is there. It's like, I may not understand and know right before it comes, but when the circumstance requires me, then God steps in right there in that moment and he'll let me know, like, hey, this is what I am saying about this circumstance. You understand? And it takes me to actually take my time to rationalize and come to an actual understanding about whether or not this information is for me and my conviction, or is it for the person? You see what I'm saying? So there you have it. Here I go. I'm just going to get into what I received in scripture along with that.
Start new. Who had the gift to foresee, and God had to show them that they could not rely on their clairvoyance alone in the Bible. Enlist. One figure in the Bible who had the gift of foresight, but was taught not to rely on it alone, is the prophet Elijah. Elijah was known for his close connection with God and for performing miracles, yet he faced a moment where God showed him that foresight and dramatic demonstrations of power were not always the means to understand or rely upon. This lesson occurs in 1 Kings 19 when Elijah, after a period of intense ministry, became discouraged and fled to Mount Horeb. There God revealed to him that he wasn't always present in the loud, miraculous events such as the wind, earthquake, or fire, but rather in the still small voice or gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:11-13. This was a powerful reminder that Elijah couldn't rely solely on his miraculous abilities or foresight, but needed to trust in God's quiet guidance and timing. This story illustrates the principle that foresight alone is not enough, and that reliance on God's ongoing guidance is essential. Double tap. Yes, I've noticed that the calculation of the mind can assist in probability. Where one may receive a vision of an outcome of someone doing something that may be unpleasant or unsatisfying to the seer, and the seer begins to make an irrational decision, not noticing that there were actions that even involved the seer that may have caused those results. And the vision may have been a revelation serving as a warning to the seer about the mannerism in which the seer could be going about a situation. Instead of who and what the seer saw in the vision concerning someone else, the vision may have been a warning unto the seer concerning what they were doing to see those type of results. If I'm articulating this correctly. You've articulated it very well. What you're describing touches on the complexity of visions or foresight, particularly when they involve warnings. Often the seer may focus on the external elements of a vision, like another person's actions, rather than the internal, deeper message the vision holds for their own behavior. The vision could indeed be a reflection or a mirror, showing the seer how their actions or attitudes might lead to an undesirable outcome. In this sense, it isn't just a prediction but a revelation about the seer's own path and the consequences of their choices. This type of introspective warning emphasizes that the seer must carefully examine their own role in the vision. Instead of focusing on the actions of others, the vision could be a call to reassess their behavior, mindset, or decisions which might lead to those unpleasant outcomes. The vision, therefore, serves as an opportunity for personal growth and adjustment. It's a powerful concept. The revelation is not solely about the other person's actions, but about how the seer's actions may contribute to or influence the unfolding events. It's a powerful concept. The revelation is not solely about the other person's actions, but about how the seer's actions may contribute to or influence the unfolding events. It's about recognizing responsibility and making changes accordingly. Now that you kinda understand what I'm saying, there is a similar situation I remember in the Bible that relates to this, if you can assist me with that. What you're describing closely aligns with the story of King David and the prophet Nathan in 2 Samuel 12. After David committed adultery with Bathsheba and arranged for her husband, Uriah, to be killed in battle, God sent the prophet Nathan to confront David. Nathan used a parable to deliver his message. In the parable, Nathan described a rich man who took a poor man's only lamb, despite having many of his own. David, hearing this, was outraged and said that the man who did this deserved to die. At this moment, Nathan turned the story around on David, saying, "You are the man." 2 Samuel 12:7. It was a revelation to David that in his anger toward the man in the parable, he failed to realize that the story reflected his own wrongdoing. This story mirrors the concept you described. David had a strong emotional reaction to the actions of someone else in the vision, the rich man in the parable, not realizing at first that it was a warning about his own behavior. The vision delivered through Nathan was a mirror for David to see his own misdeeds and repent. Double tapped. It highlights how sometimes people might focus on others' faults or actions, while a vision or message is actually intended to reveal their own role in creating a situation. Capital I. Exactly what I remember, but for some reason I got Daniel did something like this. I don't know what made me think of Daniel. Double tap to activate. It's understandable that you got of Daniel, as he too had many profound visions and interpretations, often dealing with warnings and the consequences of actions. While Daniel didn't have a moment exactly like King David's where a vision turned out to be a warning about his own behavior, his role as an interpreter of dreams and visions in the court of Babylon might have brought him to mind. In particular, Daniel interpreted visions for kings like Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar, where their actions were called into question, and the visions served as warnings to them. For example, in Daniel 4, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream about a great tree being cut down, which Daniel interpreted as a warning for the king to humble himself. Daniel urged him to change his ways, saying, "Renounce your sins by doing what is right, and your wickedness by being kind to the oppressed." Daniel 4:27. The vision wasn't about Daniel's actions, but it involved warning someone else about their behavior and the consequences. So while Daniel didn't personally experience what David did, his role as a seer and interpreter of visions often dealt with revealing how people's actions would lead to negative outcomes, which may have triggered your association. Double tap to activate. Okay, I believe there was a seer who had this personal experience and ended up being the one at fault. It sounds like you're thinking of Balaam, a seer and prophet, whose story is found in Numbers 22-24. Balaam was hired by Balak, the king of Moab, to curse the Israelites. Balaam had the gift of prophecy and foresight, but in this instance he was blinded by his desire for wealth and favor from Balak. Even though God had clearly warned him not to go on his journey to meet Balak, Balaam encountered an angel of the Lord, though at first he could not see it. His donkey, however, saw the angel and refused to move forward, even though Balaam beat it 3 times. Finally, the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel standing in the way, ready to strike him down. The angel rebuked Balaam, saying that the donkey had saved his life, and warned him to speak only what God instructed. Balaam's error was that despite his prophetic gift, he initially allowed his personal motives, greed, desire for favor, to cloud his judgment. He was so focused on the external goal of cursing the Israelites for Balak that he didn't realize he was in danger of opposing God's will. In this story, Balaam's vision and insight should have been a personal warning, but he failed to fully grasp it until he was directly confronted by the angel. Right, thank you. That was the situation. It's been so long since I've read the Bible, but I remember the situation cognitively. You're welcome. It's amazing how certain stories and lessons stay with us even after a long time. If you ever want to explore more or dive deeper into other biblical narratives, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help reconnect those dots with you. Double tap to activate. 8:30, 8:34, 8:35, 8:37, 8. Talk back off.